never again would we make that foolish decision. Mostly because we don't want to die by the hand of our fans and friends, you know?
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. I am still in my teenage room visiting my family for the holidays. But hey, while you're here, feel free to subscribe. In 1990, a very controversial but awesome thrash proto groove metal album came out by Exhorder, namely Slaughter in the Vatican. And the band is right now touring the States to play this classic album in full. To learn all about the tour, the album, and what the band is working on next, I sat down with singer Kyle himself. Kyle, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of stuff happening for you, a lot of things being announced. That's great. One of the key things that I want to talk about today is obviously the upcoming Exhorder tour, where you guys will be playing your classic album Slaughter in the Vatican in full. Not the first time that you're highlighting this album, obviously, for people that know the band, but exciting times nonetheless.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've done this. There was a time when it was the only option we had, but that was many years ago. But now, this kind of came to fruition a couple of years ago. We did this, it was our first show back, having reunited after, 27 years away. And, technically we'd had a couple of reunions in between, but let's rewind to 2018. Our first show back was at St. Vitus in Brooklyn, New York, and it was Slaughter in the Vatican in its entirety the first night, and it was a hit. It really went over well with everyone. Then we decided to book it for Psycho Las Vegas for 2021, for 2020 actually. Pandemic that gets pushed back to 2021. So
exactly.
We were all working really, really hard in August preparing for that show, and it dawned on us that it would be a great idea moving forward to take this thing out on the road. So we presented it to our booking agent, and he said, "Man, we got it. We got a tour for you."
Slaughter in the Vatican, especially for those that are big fans of thrash metal and both like everything that happened in the 90s that followed. It's one of those underground classics, and when people think Exhorder, they tend to think Slaughter in the Vatican.
Sure.
And then maybe even in particular, a song like Desecrator, obviously, which is there's famous quotes by Lemmy where he said, "You know what, I'm so sick and tired of playing Ace of Spades, but I know that every show there is at least one person that traveled a very long way to just hear that song, and I can't disappoint that person." Is that similar for you with Desecrator? Like, you will always want to play it, or are you like, you know what, I'm just going to switch it up. I'm only going to play new songs?
In the history of this band, since that song was written in 1987, I think we left it out of the playlist, off the set list one time.
Yeah.
And people came up to us after the show very upset. And we were like, okay, note to self, every band's got their rock and roll all night, their Paranoid, their Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
And for us, I would suppose that it would be Desecrator. It's the song that we're most known for. It was the introduction to this band by many, simply because it was on the At Death's Door.
Yeah.
So, and not to mention, it's just a heavy behemoth of a song. It is. So, I never again would we make that foolish decision, mostly because we don't want to die by the hand of our fans and friends, you know. I'm striving to write the album that usurps that album at some point.
For sure.
You know, you gotta have goals, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? Hey, there's nothing wrong with having your paranoid, because sure, every band might think they have one, but not every fan might think that of that band. So it's it's one of the best compliments I'm sure that you could have as a musician, that people are so passionate about one of the songs that you created. There's a lot of things that you already touched on or hinted at that I want to pick at. Maybe just actually with real quick to stay with Slaughter in the Vatican, also obviously because you're gonna play this album in full in the tour, so it's very relevant again right now. I know that there have been both official and unofficial re-releases of that album throughout the years. I checked yesterday. I think if you want to get an original copy on eBay, I think the best you're gonna do is like $250 to $350 for an original copy, and whether or not it's in great shape. Seeing how people are reacting to announcements of you guys playing, how much these songs are still very popular. Are you thinking of that it might be time to have that properly re-released as some sort of fan box? Is that something that's on your mind, or are you more focused on the new work that you're working on?
The crazy thing is this: we actually don't own the rights to the masters of that, so it's really not up to me.
Yeah.
However, a little bluebird told me that there's a really good chance that it might be re-released again soon on a CD, and it was recently redone on vinyl. No one reached out to me about that or anyone else for that. It just happened, and I'm happy it did, but it would have been nice to know. I literally found out about it through the internet, and just like everybody else, and that's a little disappointing, but so be it. But if this thing with the CD happens, I have a feeling that I'll at least have some input on some liner notes and stuff like that, which would be really great. I think that the album and the fans deserve that. When it was redone by Metal Mind Records out of Poland, remastered and done in the digipack, they did reach out to me for was there anything that we wanted to add to it, and I think at the time I didn't really have much to contribute to it, but they at least reached out, and that's good. It's if you don't have control over something like that, you at least want to have some input on the voice, the creative side, at least. It's our art. I know it belongs to everyone now that it's released, but still, when it comes from you, you wish that at least someone would say, "Hey, would you like to be a part of this?"
There was clear controversy around the album as well, obviously, with song lyrics, titles of songs, and cover art. You're still you still reside, even though you're right now in Ohio. You are still usually in New Orleans. How has that climate changed? Because we've obviously, what you guys did with Slaughter in the Vatican is pretty PG compared to some of the stuff that is coming out today. But how do you feel specifically in like the New Orleans area or Louisiana? How is that religious climate? Has that changed? Has that gotten better, or has it gotten worse, in your opinion, when it comes to people, trying to keep you down?
Man, that's a multi-part question there. I think let's start with then versus now. So when it came out, like you said, it was, oh my God, did they really? And I think the large part of that was since we started, hey Dougie, since we started writing the majority of those songs in the 85 to 87 area, there really weren't a lot of bands from Louisiana who had actually gone out and made it big with record deals and touring and stuff. There was just a couple of them. So everything was still very new. And the different thing for us was, versus the album, talking about the demo, we actually, like, the album cover is tame comparatively to the demo cover. The demo cover, we actually had Pope John Paul II, who is now better known as Saint John Paul II, hanging from our logo with the Vatican burning in the background, children and women crying at his feet. So that was pretty hardcore. It wasn't just any Pope. It was the Pope. It was the one who was, you know, sitting on the throne at the time. And so that, I think that was the big controversy right out the gates, was that we were attacking someone who was very beloved. And of course, it was a metaphor really for any kind of organized religion. It really, I never wished any harm on the Pope personally, but hypocrisy with religion, of course, yes.
Of course.
So fast forward to 90, when the album finally comes out. So these songs at this point are going on 3 to 5 years old. It's not songs aren't new anymore. It just happened to come out in 90. And Road Racer RC Records was like, you are not putting that demo cover on our album. It's just not happening. So we were disappointed with that. We felt like, you know, we've already gone this far. Why tame it down? But you know, they talked us into it and came up with this alternative cover. And you know, to this day, at first none of us were really happy with it, but it's grown on me. You know, it's classic and people love it. So to me, you know, let it be what it is. Are things different now versus then? Yeah, and you can say and get away with a lot more now than you could in some ways, especially about religion. Religion doesn't have the shield that it used to have. It used to be you just could not, you know, our album cover was not allowed in some stores because of you're attacking the Pope, but you could go in that same store and buy an album by Christian Death that had Christ with a hypodermic needle in his arm. So you could say you could attack Christ, you just couldn't attack the Pope, which I never understood that. That made no sense to me. But at the same time, today you can't say the things that we were saying in the lyrics as easily as you can. Today, you just, a lot of it might, you know, really cause a lot of problems. So at the end of the day, it's just horror music to me. It's like a horror movie. It's not real. It's just fantasy. And I don't know, some people don't know how to separate the two. But yeah, religion is still a very powerful entity in Louisiana where we live. The Catholic Church is very powerful there. You know, you go out into the country and the Baptist communities are very strong. So it's what they call the Bible Belt, you know. But like I said, I don't think they have the shield that they once had. The church has finally been held accountable for the years of abuse of children, and I mean, let's be honest. There's been plenty pillaging and colonization spearheaded by the Catholic Church, just like, you know, the Spanish conquistadors, the French movement. You know, a lot of that was backed by the church. You know, like when they expanded out towards you know, the Far East. It's the same thing. That the church was there. It was big business.
There's one more song on that album that maybe has not aged as well, and that
No, there you go.
I don't think I don't think it's a song that you would write today anymore, even if you still, you know, use the concept of horror fantasy and whatever. You know what song I'm talking about.
Sure.
What is that a fair statement that, you know, an 18-year-old Kyle would have some fun, but present day Kyle would not do that anymore?
Well, let's see. There's more than one song on there that has messages that aren't so kind. But I'm assuming you're talking about Anal Lust.
I am talking about Anal Lust, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the good news. I didn't write the lyrics to that song. So,
but you are the only remaining member in the band, so you kind of have to speak for it.
I sang the song. No one else has ever sang the song but me. So I have to at least own that. But again, kind of like a horror movie, you know, that one thing we always enjoyed doing was making people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And some people really enjoy that, and some people really don't. So for us, it was, you know, just another thing to do to make people uneasy, or, you know, have to think twice about themselves.
When they liked it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, when it was written, there was only one of us in the band that wasn't a teenager, that was, you know, 21, 22 years old. Everybody else, we were young, dumb men, you know. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like Stormtroopers of Death, I guess, or
for sure,
you know, just.
Oh, there's a million examples for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to pass the buck here. You know, yes, we did and said these things, but you know, I mean, look at the song "Homicide." See the infant take its life, lick the blood up from the knife. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I'm not taking any baby and taking its life and licking the blood up from the knife. It's ridiculous. But you know, Edgar Allan Poe wrote some incredibly dark stuff. So Clive Barker. You know, there's a million artists out there painting that make people go, no, don't look at this. But that doesn't mean they're a terrible person. It just means that there are terrible images in their mind that need to get out some kind of way.
One of the things that I know also a lot of people have talked about is that, you know, sure, even with Controversies and with timing, if there was better label backing back in the day, you know, the whole story could have gone differently. And we see that today when you are supported by Nuclear Blast. I know that Nuclear Blast is not the record label that had Slaughter the Vatican, but
correct.
I've seen Slaughter the Vatican getting a whole lot more time in the spotlight since you guys have moved to Nuclear Blast, and all of a sudden the Exhorder name is much more out there.
Sure.
Do you agree with that?
Well, you know, labels are very different now than it was back then. Labels are a little less hands-on now, I think, just because of the dynamics of how the industry has changed. So that's not to say that, you know, they're not supportive of what's going on. And I think it's a symbiotic relationship. You know, the better we do on our old catalog, the more attention it brings to the newer stuff, which in turn sells records for Nuclear Blast. So surely they don't want to see us fail just because we're not pushing a record that they did. It wouldn't be beneficial towards anyone. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's things are a little bit more do-it-yourself today, I think, than they were back then regarding a label. Plus, I don't know, we're old men now. You know, back then we kind of didn't know what to do, so you needed the label to help kind of hold your hand and guide you along. And now we're all older businessmen, and I know what didn't work back then. So, you know, I'm learning a lot from, you know, what to do based on the fact that it didn't work before. And so yeah, we're kind of just setting up for the next Nuclear Blast record, the follow up to More in the Southern Skies. But being that they just did the 30th anniversary of Slaughter in the Vatican last year, and the pandemic kind of slowed everything down to where 2020 kind of just extended into 2021, and it's almost like one big year.
Yeah.
So the celebration continues in our 31st anniversary of this album. But yeah, once we get this tour out of the way, it's back to business on an album. So yeah, I would think that support our label, saying, yeah, this is a good thing. I mean, this is our first headlining tour in the United States ever. Like we've done tours in the US before, but we were always supporting someone.
Yeah.
It's our first headliner. I mean, here we are. This band was formed in 1986, and we're finally headlining a tour in our own country.
One of my favorite versions of Desecrator, to get back to that anthem, that monolith of the band, is maybe on the Live Death EP that you did with back in the day with Suffocation and Malevolent Creation, I believe.
Yes,
that was a killer EP. I really hope that one day whoever owns the rights to that re-releases that on vinyl. That would be so beautiful.
Yeah, I think that was obviously the first time for us that our live show was represented on a recording, and I think you can clearly hear the difference between the two albums that we did and the energy from that live performance. And that was, at the time, that concert, Milwaukee Metal Fest '92, was the first big show on a big stage that we ever did. And the way this band is the bigger the stage, the bigger the response from the audience. It's we feed off of that energy, and whatever happened that day, I remember everybody it took everything to a different level once we were on the stage and got everybody riled up. So yeah, that would be a great thing. I think Cancer was also on that album. So there was some great bands. And the Malevolent guys we were always friends with, the Suffocation guys we were friends with also. We played some shows with them. So what an honor it would be to see that album get some new modern love. That would be great.
Even if that's not right now in the planning just yet, there's a lot coming at us from you guys with the tour, new music coming after that, and then I'm sure more shows, and then on top of that, you're working on a million different bands that we can see you in. Kyle, I want to thank you so much for your time today. We went 1 minute over. I hope that doesn't upset your plans too much.
No, that's fine by me, man. It was a good conversation.
Awesome. Well, have a wonderful day rehearsing. I hope everything goes very smooth, and I hope we can catch you guys on the road very soon. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jasper.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.